Step quietly beyond the bustling piazzas of Vatican City, past the throngs of tourists drawn to St. Peter's Basilica, and enter a world that few outsiders ever glimpse, a world where time slows and history breathes silently from the shelves. This is the Vatican Apostolic Archives, often misnamed the Vatican Secret Archives, a term that has sparked imagination, speculation, and myth. The truth is simpler yet infinitely more fascinating. Secret comes from the Latin secretum, meaning private or restricted. It is the Pope's private archive, a repository of human history meticulously preserved and curated over more than a millennium. Stretching across 85 kilometers of shelving, the archives contain over 60,000 manuscripts and hundreds of thousands of letters, treaties, papal bulls, financial ledgers, and rare codices. Imagine walking down endless corridors where every document once influenced kings, emperors, theologians, and scientists. Letters that dictated wars, sealed alliances, declared heresies, or recorded groundbreaking discoveries. Among these priceless treasures are trial records of Galileo Galilei, letters from Martin Luther challenging centuries of doctrine, correspondence from Henry VIII navigating the complex relationship between monarchy and faith, and intricate illuminated manuscripts adorned with gold leaf, inked illustrations, and elaborate marginalia. Access is extraordinarily limited. Scholars must submit rigorous applications, provide academic credentials, and often obtain multiple letters of recommendation to study even a fraction of these materials. Archivists are guardians of the past, handling fragile parchments with gloves, using magnifying tools to examine faded ink, and carefully turning pages that could crumble if treated carelessly. The archive's climate-controlled corridors protect these documents from the slow decay of time, humidity, and exposure to light, ensuring the survival of centuries-old knowledge. Walking these halls, one can almost hear the whispers of history, the debates, decisions, and human ambitions preserved in ink and parchment. This is more than a library. It is a living monument to human civilization, faith, and intellect. Each manuscript, each scroll, each carefully folded document represents a fragment of humanity's story, a story of power, devotion, diplomacy, and discovery. The archives hold evidence of the Church's profound influence over societies, empires, and global events, yet they also preserve the quiet voices of ordinary scribes, scholars, and monks, whose careful hands ensured that knowledge endured. Here, the past is tangible, almost palpable, a bridge across centuries connecting us to the minds and decisions that shaped our world. The Vatican Apostolic Archives are not just a repository of documents. They are a testament to the endurance of human memory, the meticulous stewardship of knowledge, and the silent, persistent heartbeat of history itself. To step inside is to enter a cathedral of knowledge, where every shelf, every scroll, and every seal is a portal to the untold stories of civilization, waiting to be discovered by the few who may witness its treasures. The Vatican Apostolic Archives did not appear fully formed. They evolved over centuries, shaped by necessity, foresight, and the Church's recognition of the value of record-keeping. In the early centuries, papal correspondence, legal documents, treaties, and ecclesiastical decrees were scattered across offices, monasteries, and private chapels, vulnerable to fire, theft, decay, and simple misplacement. Pope Paul V in the early 17th century recognized the urgent need to centralize these records into a single, secure repository. In 1612, he formalized the Vatican Apostolic Archives, not merely as a storage facility, but as a carefully organized repository to preserve the Church's institutional memory and safeguard its authority for generations. Access remained highly restricted. Only the most trusted clerics could navigate its corridors. The archives served as the operational nerve center of papal power, a place where the Church meticulously recorded diplomatic negotiations, council deliberations, doctrinal decisions, economic activities, and military strategies. Over time, the archives grew, absorbing scattered records from across Europe and beyond, creating a vast and coherent collection that documented both the internal workings of the Church and its influence on global events. In 1881, Pope Leo XIII allowed limited access to scholars, opening a new chapter in historical research. Even today, entrance requires rigorous academic credentials, letters of recommendation, and detailed justification of research purposes. The documents are organized by pope, date, and subject, forming a complex but navigable system spanning centuries. Through this meticulous cataloguing, the archives chronicle negotiations with monarchs, theological disputes, financial ledgers of extraordinary detail, and even the Church's role in the early formation of scientific thought. Each shelf, each scroll, and each meticulously annotated letter represents centuries of human ambition, intellect, and faith. Scholars navigating these halls step carefully into a world where even a minor misstep could damage history itself. The archives demonstrate that memory, governance, and knowledge are inseparable. By preserving correspondence, treaties, and records, the Church ensured continuity, legitimacy, and influence across time and space. The Vatican Apostolic Archives are not simply shelves of paper. They are a living testament to the interplay of power, faith, and intellect. Every preserved letter, every ledger, every carefully stored document tells the story of an institution that has shaped, directed, and recorded the currents of human civilization. The archives embody the enduring human desire to preserve memory, to maintain continuity, and to safeguard knowledge against the erosion of time, offering a profound bridge between the past and the present, where history is not just remembered, but actively protected and understood. The earliest layers of the Vatican Apostolic Archives hold the story of a church consolidating its power and chronicling its influence across Europe. Medieval correspondence, papal bulls, and council records preserved here date as far back as the 8th and 9th centuries, providing a window into the political, religious, and social forces that shaped Western civilization. Each manuscript offers more than a historical record. It reveals the lives, thoughts, and ambitions of those who created it. Scribes in candlelit chambers carefully penned letters to distant bishops, instructions to monarchs, and theological arguments meant to endure for centuries. Illuminated manuscripts, often gilded with gold and illustrated with intricate marginalia, capture the fusion of art, devotion, and scholarship. Beyond their visual splendor, these documents reflect the Church's administrative sophistication, showing how communication networks extended across kingdoms, bridging distances and shaping the course of history. Letters to kings and nobles reveal the Church's role as a mediator, advisor, and authority in disputes of succession, territory, and faith. Marginal annotations and corrections illuminate the evolving dialogue between clerics, illustrating debates that could alter policy, doctrine, or alliance. Scholars examining these records today gain insight into how the Church maintained cohesion, projected authority, and adapted to the shifting political and cultural landscape of medieval Europe. Even mundane documents, ledgers, decrees, and administrative notes carry significance, revealing how the Church navigated taxation, land ownership, and clerical appointments, shaping the lives of millions. Each preserved scroll and codex represents a triumph of memory over time, a bridge between centuries that allows modern historians to reconstruct the ambitions, fears, and ingenuity of the past. The meticulous care with which these documents were created and preserved ensured that the voices of medieval Europe remain audible, their lessons available for careful study. Through these early records, one witnesses a civilization striving to order its world, document its authority, and safeguard its knowledge. The archives provide a rare, unbroken line to the minds and decisions that influence theology, politics, art, and society. Standing before these manuscripts is to stand in the presence of human continuity itself, a space where ink, parchment, and dedication have captured centuries of life, ambition, and faith, preserving them for generations to come. In the quiet corridors of the archives, every document hums with the weight of history, a testament to the enduring pursuit of knowledge and the unyielding effort to ensure that the story of humanity, in all its complexity, is neither lost nor forgotten. The Vatican archives hold an extraordinary record of the Church's influence over the political destiny of Europe. Monarchs, emperors and rulers corresponded with popes not merely to seek spiritual guidance, but to negotiate alliances, resolve disputes, legitimize claims, and at times prevent wars. Papal bulls and letters carried authority that could validate a crown, sanction a military campaign, or mediate succession crises that shaped entire regions. Within these hallowed shelves lie the correspondence that determined the rise and fall of kingdoms, the intricate dance between religious authority and secular power captured in ink and parchment. The documents reveal a church that was deeply involved in diplomacy, not as a distant spiritual observer, but as an active participant whose counsel and decrees could alter the course of nations. Marginalia and annotations in these letters show the deliberations of secretaries and clerics, sometimes debating the moral and political consequences of an alliance, or revising language to sway monarchs toward desired outcomes. Treaty drafts reveal the negotiation of borders, the granting of privileges, and the strategic concessions necessary to maintain peace or assert influence. Scholars tracing the flow of these documents can map networks of power, tracing how decisions within the Vatican affected regions from the Iberian Peninsula to the Holy Roman Empire. These archives show that political authority in Europe was inseparable from religious legitimacy. A king's power could rise or fall on the interpretation of a papal letter or the confirmation of a decree. The meticulous preservation of these records allows modern historians to study not just what decisions were made, but how they were communicated, contested, and refined over time. The archives provide insight into the delicate balance of diplomacy, faith, and strategy that guided Europe through centuries of upheaval, illustrating that the pen, guided by moral and spiritual authority, often carried more weight than the sword. Every seal, every signature, and every carefully crafted phrase, preserved here, is a testament to the Church's enduring capacity to shape history. As we walk these corridors, it becomes clear that the archives are far more than a repository of documents. They are a living chronicle of power, persuasion, and influence, preserving the evidence of how human ambition and divine authority intertwine to mold the political landscape of an entire continent. In this quiet, candlelit vault, history does not merely exist, it speaks, instructing us on the profound impact of faith and diplomacy on the destiny of nations. A reminder that behind every major political event, there are the careful hands of scribes and the enduring authority of the Vatican. Among the Vatican archive's most compelling and enigmatic collections are the records detailing the Church's complex relationship with science, most famously the trial of Galileo Galilei. These documents, including Galileo's letters, trial transcripts, and papal correspondence, reveal the tension between groundbreaking scientific discoveries and established theological doctrine. The archives provide a rare window into the inner deliberations of the Church, showing how religious leaders navigated the delicate balance between faith, authority, and emerging knowledge. Far from being uniformly antagonistic, the Church acted at times as patron, mediator, and critic, supporting research while seeking to regulate its implications for doctrine and social order. The trial records show the painstaking process of evaluating evidence, interpreting observations, and weighing the potential societal impact of heliocentric theories. Galileo's defense, the arguments of theologians, and the annotations of clerics demonstrate the intellectual rigor and political caution that framed this historic confrontation. Beyond Galileo, the archives contain correspondence with astronomers, mathematicians, and philosophers who sought papal approval or guidance in pursuing their work. These manuscripts reveal debates on planetary motion, observations of celestial phenomena, and the gradual accumulation of scientific knowledge under careful scrutiny. Scholars today gain an unparalleled understanding of how science, religion, and authority intersected, and how curiosity was both encouraged and constrained within the Church's moral and theological frameworks. Marginalia and drafts expose the human dimension of these debates, the doubts, revisions, and deliberations that ultimately shape decisions impacting generations of thinkers. By preserving these records, the Vatican allows researchers to trace the evolution of scientific inquiry alongside the evolution of institutional oversight, Each document is a testament to the intellectual courage of early scientists and the deliberate prudence of the Church, capturing a moment in history where knowledge challenged tradition, yet dialogue persisted. The archives hold evidence not only of conflict, but also of collaboration, negotiation, and the gradual reconciliation of reason with faith. Standing before these manuscripts, one is reminded that history is rarely a story of simple opposition. It is a complex narrative of inquiry, authority, and human endeavour. The Vatican Apostolic Archives ensure that this nuanced history remains accessible, demonstrating that the pursuit of knowledge and the preservation of spiritual authority can coexist, shaping the modern understanding of science, religion, and the interplay between them. These pages, carefully preserved and meticulously catalogued, echo the enduring tension and ultimate dialogue between human curiosity and institutional guardianship, bridging centuries and illuminating the roots of modern intellectual pursuit. The Vatican Apostolic Archives preserve an extraordinary chronicle of one of Europe's most turbulent periods, the Reformation. Within its walls lie letters, critiques, and official responses to Martin Luther and other reformers whose ideas shook the foundations of the Church. These documents reveal the complexity of theological debate, the Church's strategies for addressing dissent, and the human dynamics behind historical upheaval. Luther's letters, pamphlets, and correspondence, carefully preserved, showcase a bold challenge to long-standing doctrine, igniting controversies that spread rapidly across Europe, aided by the newly invented printing press. The Church's responses, from papal bulls to private letters, were meticulously recorded, reflecting both doctrinal reasoning and diplomatic maneuvering. Archivists handle these fragile documents with extreme care, aware that they contain the debates that reshaped Europe's religious and political landscape. Marginal notes, draft letters, and annotations reveal the deliberation and negotiation behind each official response, providing modern scholars with an intimate view of the decision-making processes of the time. These manuscripts demonstrate that history is rarely a simple clash between reformers and authority. It is a nuanced interaction where persuasion, negotiation, and political influence intertwine. The archives preserve the Church's careful attempts to maintain cohesion, protect spiritual authority, and adapt to a rapidly changing world, balancing fear of schism with the recognition of intellectual and social pressures. By studying these letters and documents, historians trace how ideas circulated, how debates were framed, and how leaders navigated a continent in religious upheaval. The Reformation correspondence offers insight into not only theology but also diplomacy, communication, and human psychology. It shows how the Church responded to criticism, managed dissent, and attempted to shape public perception, all while maintaining its institutional legitimacy. Each scroll and manuscript captures the tension between innovation and tradition, faith and reason, authority and conscience. Standing among these centuries-old documents, one gains a profound understanding of the struggle to balance human curiosity, spiritual devotion, and institutional continuity. The Vatican archives, through their meticulous preservation, allow us to witness these debates as they unfolded, providing a living record of intellectual courage, human ambition, and the enduring quest to define belief, authority, and societal order. In these pages, the Reformation comes alive, revealing a world where ideas could challenge empires, faith could ignite revolutions, and the careful curation of knowledge became essential to the survival of civilization itself. The Vatican Apostolic Archives stand as a silent witness to centuries of papal diplomacy, revealing the extraordinary influence the Church wielded over the political destinies of kingdoms, empires, and nations. Within these halls lie letters, treaties, and carefully annotated communications between popes and monarchs, documents that shaped alliances, mediated disputes, and determined succession in courts across Europe. Every papal seal and carefully worded phrase carried immense weight, often granting legitimacy to rulers, sanctioning wars, or preserving fragile peace in volatile territories. These archives preserve not only the final, polished letters, but also drafts, marginal notes, and corrections, revealing the painstaking care with which the Church negotiated its spiritual and temporal authority. Kings and emperors corresponded with the Pope seeking guidance, support, or approval, knowing that papal influence could legitimize their claims and strengthen their rule. Meanwhile, the Church exercised prudence, balancing diplomacy with moral authority, carefully crafting responses that maintained its prestige while avoiding unnecessary conflict. The documents show the Church's dual role: a moral compass and a strategic power broker, capable of shaping events through letters as effectively as armies. Scholars examining these records gain insight into the complex web of relationships between religious and secular authorities, tracing how treaties were negotiated, conflicts diffused, and policies influenced. Maps and diagrams embedded in the archives reveal the Church's reach, showing territories under ecclesiastical guidance and the spread of influence through correspondence and directives. Beyond political strategy, the documents illustrate the human dimension of diplomacy: clerics debating wording, popes weighing consequences, and monarchs responding with subtle maneuvering. These manuscripts underscore the enduring intersection of faith, governance, and negotiation, demonstrating that the Church's authority extended far beyond spiritual guidance to shape the very course of European history. Through meticulous preservation, the Vatican ensures that these conversations, often delicate, sometimes tense, always consequential, remain accessible to scholars, offering a rare window into the exercise of soft power across centuries. Standing among these letters and scrolls, one realizes that the archives are more than a collection. They are a chronicle of influence, a testament to the Church's ability to navigate diplomacy, wield authority, and leave a lasting imprint on the political and cultural landscape of Europe. Each document is a story, each annotation a whisper from the past, revealing the strategies, compromises, and ambitions that defined the Church's extraordinary role in shaping human history, preserving an enduring record of power exercised through the subtle art of persuasion, negotiation, and moral authority. Within the Vatican Apostolic Archives lies an unparalleled treasure trove of human creativity: illuminated manuscripts. These works, painstakingly crafted by medieval and Renaissance scribes, combine textual record with artistry, merging devotion, scholarship, and visual expression into enduring masterpieces. Gilded letters, intricate marginalia, and hand-painted illustrations reveal a world where the sacred and the intellectual intertwined, where knowledge was recorded with the utmost care and reverence. Each manuscript tells a story not only in its content but through its form. The choice of color, the application of gold leaf, and the precision of illustrations reflect centuries of skill, artistic innovation, and devotion. Beyond their aesthetic beauty, these documents serve as historical records, capturing religious teachings, philosophical treatises, and scientific observations. Marginal notes and sketches provide a rare glimpse into the thoughts and lives of the scribes and monks who created them, revealing their reflections, corrections, and creative impulses. The manuscripts also illustrate the transmission of knowledge across generations. Ideas, prayers, and cultural practices were preserved through painstaking replication and careful embellishment. Archivists today handle these treasures with extreme caution, using gloves and magnifying tools to prevent deterioration, aware that each page represents centuries of intellectual and artistic achievement. Scholars study the manuscripts not only to decipher their content, but to understand the broader cultural and historical context, tracing the evolution of artistic styles, religious thought, and intellectual traditions. The archives collection includes some of the rarest codices in existence, including theological treatises, early scientific observations, and literary works, many of which were considered too precious or controversial for circulation. These illuminated manuscripts are living artifacts, bridging past and present, allowing modern observers to engage directly with the minds and hands of those who shaped knowledge, art, and devotion in earlier centuries. Every stroke of ink and paint, every gilded letter and ornamental border embodies a deliberate act of preservation and expression, capturing the fusion of human creativity and spiritual purpose. By safeguarding these manuscripts, the Vatican ensures that centuries of intellectual, cultural, and artistic achievement endure, offering future generations the opportunity to study, interpret, and marvel at these extraordinary creations. In these halls, art and history coexist, revealing a civilization dedicated to the preservation of knowledge, the pursuit of beauty, and the illumination of the human spirit, reminding us that even in silence, these manuscripts speak volumes about the enduring legacy of faith, intellect, and artistry. The Vatican Apostolic Archives are not only a repository of theology, diplomacy, and culture, they are also a remarkable record of centuries of economic activity and financial stewardship. Within these vaults lie ledgers, account books, receipts, and detailed financial reports that chronicle the administration of papal estates, tithes, donations, and investments spanning over a millennium. These records provide insight into how the Church managed resources, funded infrastructure, supported charitable work, and financed artistic, scientific, and political endeavours. Scholars studying these documents can trace the movement of wealth across Europe, from donations of ordinary parishioners to vast transfers from monarchs, revealing a complex and sophisticated economic network. Marginal notes, annotations, and calculations demonstrate the careful decision-making processes that guided the allocation of resources, reflecting both moral considerations and practical necessity. These documents illuminate the Church's role as an economic powerhouse, influencing not only spiritual life, but also the material and social fabric of communities across the continent. Ledgers detail payments for cathedral construction, commissions for artists, and support for universities, showing how the Church invested in culture, education, and intellectual advancement. They also reveal the administration of land, collection of tithes, and management of estates, offering historians a window into daily life, governance, and the flow of resources in medieval and Renaissance society. Beyond the figures and transactions, the archives reveal the Church's foresight in safeguarding wealth and knowledge, demonstrating a commitment to continuity and accountability. By preserving these financial records, the Vatican enables scholars to understand not only the mechanisms of wealth management, but also the interplay of power, religion, and economics that shaped Europe for centuries. The archives show that the Church's influence extended far beyond the spiritual realm, affecting commerce, governance, and social organization. Each ledger, each annotated entry, represents careful planning, oversight, and foresight, illuminating the Church's capacity to shape society through prudent administration. Standing before these shelves, one can sense the cumulative impact of centuries of decisions, from minute calculations to monumental investments, each contributing to the stability, prosperity, and cultural richness of Europe. The Vatican Apostolic Archives, through their financial records, offer an unparalleled view of an institution that mastered both spiritual and material stewardship, demonstrating the enduring power of organized knowledge, meticulous record-keeping, and thoughtful governance. These documents are not mere numbers, they are evidence of the Church's lasting imprint on history, a chronicle of ambition, prudence, and responsibility carefully preserved for future generations to study, understand, and learn from. Deep within the Vatican Apostolic Archives lie documents that reveal the Church's pivotal role in shaping European politics through secret treaties, confidential negotiations, and behind-the-scenes diplomacy. These records chronicle how popes influenced alliances, sanctioned campaigns, and mediated disputes that determined the fate of kingdoms, empires, and entire regions. The archives preserve both the formal treaties and the drafts, notes, and annotations, revealing the deliberation, strategy, and subtle persuasion employed in negotiations. Every signature, wax seal, and marginal note conveys weighty decisions whose consequences rippled across Europe, often unseen by the general populace. Monarchs, emperors, and princes corresponded with the Vatican to secure legitimacy, resolve conflicts, or gain strategic advantage, understanding that papal authority could tip the scales in diplomacy and war. Marginalia and editorial comments illustrate the Church's careful calibration of language, ensuring that every clause, phrase, and term advanced desired political outcomes while maintaining spiritual credibility. Scholars studying these documents uncover the intricate interplay of religion, power, and strategy, tracing how secret negotiations prevented wars, forged alliances, and sometimes manipulated outcomes to favor the Church's broader objectives. Beyond diplomacy, these documents shed light on human ambition, mistrust, and negotiation, the delicate balance between moral authority and realpolitik. Drafts reveal moments of hesitation, reconsideration, and compromise, showing that historical events were shaped as much by careful wording as by armies and treaties. The archives also preserve correspondence with advisors, envoys, and local authorities, providing context to the decisions recorded and offering insight into the practical realities of governance, logistics, and enforcement. By cataloguing and safeguarding these sensitive documents, the Vatican ensured that both successes and failures of diplomacy could inform future decisions, creating a continuous institutional memory of political maneuvering. These records underscore the Church's capacity to exercise influence discreetly yet effectively, shaping history not through force alone, but through persuasion, negotiation, and meticulous record-keeping. Each document embodies the delicate art of balancing power, ethics, and foresight, highlighting the enduring relationship between spiritual authority and temporal politics. Standing among these shelves, one senses the weight of centuries of intrigue, the silent negotiation of empires, and the enduring imprint of the Vatican as a power broker, whose decisions, often hidden from public view, shaped the course of history. The Vatican Apostolic Archives are not merely repositories of ink and parchment. They are chronicles of secrecy, strategy, and influence, offering scholars a rare and intimate understanding of how the Church navigated the complex web of politics and human ambition to shape civilizations. The Vatican Apostolic Archives preserve a stark record of one of history's most controversial aspects of the Church, the heresy trials and the Inquisition. These documents, some centuries old, contain accusations, testimonies, and deliberations that reveal the Church's determined effort to maintain doctrinal authority and societal cohesion in an era of religious upheaval. Within these carefully preserved records lie detailed accounts of individuals accused of heresy, ranging from theologians and scholars to ordinary citizens whose beliefs or practices challenged established norms. Marginal notes, cross-references, and drafts reveal the meticulous processes by which accusations were investigated, evidence collected, and decisions made. The trial records illuminate both the moral and political dimensions of heresy, showing how doctrine, law, and governance were intertwined. Archivists handle these delicate manuscripts with extreme care, aware that each page represents both a human life and a historical lesson. The documents demonstrate that the Inquisition, while feared and often misunderstood, operated within a legalistic and bureaucratic framework designed to ensure that accusations were documented, witnesses heard, and rulings recorded. Correspondence between local inquisitors and the Vatican provides insight into the centralized oversight of doctrinal enforcement and the Church's concern with uniformity of belief across diverse regions. Beyond the immediate religious context, these records shed light on social structures, community norms, and the ways in which dissent was perceived, recorded, and managed. Scholars analyzing these archives can trace the evolution of legal procedures, moral reasoning, and administrative protocols employed in maintaining doctrinal control. The manuscripts also reveal the human dimension, scribes recording testimonies, clerics debating interpretations, and judges weighing evidence against conscience and policy. By preserving these documents, the Vatican offers a rare opportunity to study both the mechanisms of authority and the lived experience of those subjected to scrutiny, revealing the tension between human rights, societal stability, and religious orthodoxy. Each scroll, letter, and ledger provides a window into the Church's strategies to confront challenges to its teachings while documenting the complex interplay between fear, faith, and governance. The archives stand as a testament to the Church's capacity to codify, preserve, and reflect upon history, even in its most difficult and controversial chapters. Walking among these records, one confronts the enduring question of authority, belief, and justice, witnessing the careful preservation of documents that chronicle both power and human vulnerability. In these pages, history is neither sanitized nor sensationalized. It is meticulously recorded, offering insight into the forces that shape societies and beliefs, and reminding us that every preserved document tells a story of humanity's enduring struggle to balance conviction, conscience, and control. Hidden within the Vatican Apostolic Archives are letters and documents from individuals whose names have largely vanished from history, yet whose words illuminate forgotten corners of the past. These correspondences, sometimes brief, sometimes extensive, reveal lives, thoughts, and events that would otherwise have been lost to time. From minor clerics and distant abbots to diplomats and scholars whose contributions were overshadowed, these letters preserve traces of human endeavour, ambition, and observation. Each document carries the tangible weight of centuries, the ink and parchment acting as a bridge to voices long silent. Marginal notes and revisions provide glimpses into the author's thought processes, their hesitations, and their careful attempts to communicate effectively across vast distances. Scholars who explore these hidden correspondences can reconstruct networks of communication, tracing the flow of information, ideas, and influence in a pre-modern world where letters were the lifeblood of intellectual and political discourse. Some letters reveal mundane concerns, administration of estates, allocation of funds, or reports on local conditions. Yet these details provide critical context for understanding broader historical currents. Others touch on profound philosophical, theological, or political debates, offering perspectives from individuals outside the most prominent historical narratives. Archivists ensure that these delicate documents are preserved, catalogued, and studied, recognizing that even seemingly insignificant letters may contain unique insights into culture, society, and human experience. The manuscripts underscore the importance of preservation. Without the archives, countless perspectives would be permanently lost, leaving history incomplete and one-dimensional. Within these shelves, historians encounter voices of courage, curiosity, and resilience, discovering that influence is not limited to kings, popes, or generals. Every handwritten line, every folded page, carries the potential to reshape our understanding of events, providing nuance, depth, and texture to the grand narrative of human history. By safeguarding letters from forgotten figures, the Vatican demonstrates a commitment to comprehensive historical memory, ensuring that no voice, however obscure, is entirely erased. Walking through these corridors, one senses the delicate balance between prominence and obscurity, power and anonymity, and the enduring significance of written communication. These documents remind us that history is not merely the story of the famous or powerful, but a tapestry woven from countless threads of human experience. Each lost letter, recovered and preserved within the Vatican Apostolic Archives, enriches our understanding, giving life to the unseen actors who shaped, recorded, and reflected the world around them. The archives stand as a testament to the meticulous guardianship of memory, offering an invaluable repository of insight into lives that would otherwise have been swallowed by time, ensuring that humanity's intricate mosaic remains intact and accessible for generations to come. Among the Vatican Apostolic Archives' most fascinating collections are the maps and charts that trace the Church's awareness of the wider world, revealing a network of exploration, knowledge, and influence that spanned continents long before global travel became common. These maps document not only geographic knowledge, but the Church's engagement with discovery, trade, and diplomacy, showing how papal insight extended beyond Europe to distant lands. Many maps are intricately detailed, combining observational accuracy with artistic flourish, featuring coastlines, rivers, mountains, cities, and routes used by missionaries, merchants, and envoys. Handwritten annotations reveal corrections, discoveries, and updates reflecting new information as knowledge expanded, offering a dynamic record of humanity's growing understanding of the globe. Charts tracking trade and missionary journeys demonstrate the Church's role in facilitating communication and commerce, as well as its efforts to extend spiritual influence to far-reaching territories. Archivists carefully handle these fragile artifacts, aware that centuries of exposure to light, humidity, and handling have made them delicate, yet invaluable. Overlay diagrams allow scholars to reconstruct historical networks, showing how ideas, goods, and religious influence traveled from Rome to Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Beyond practical application, many maps reflect philosophical and theological perspectives, portraying the world through a spiritual lens that integrated cosmology, geography, and doctrine. These documents demonstrate the dual nature of the archives, a repository for both practical knowledge and conceptual interpretation of the world. By preserving these cartographic treasures, the Vatican enables researchers to trace the evolution of global awareness, navigation, and the Church's subtle impact on international relations. Each map and chart is a testament to human curiosity, ingenuity, and the meticulous recording of experience, revealing how the Church sought to understand, document, and guide the physical and spiritual journeys of humanity. The combination of empirical observation and artistic interpretation reflects the broader intellectual culture of the time, bridging science, exploration, and faith. Walking among these shelves, one senses the intersection of knowledge and authority, where inked coastlines, plotted trade routes, and annotated journeys embody centuries of careful observation and strategic oversight. The archive's maps are more than records. They are windows into a global vision curated with precision, reflecting the Church's efforts to comprehend, influence, and connect the world. Through these documents, we glimpse the extraordinary scope of papal awareness, the foresight in documenting distant lands, and the enduring commitment to preserving knowledge that could guide both spiritual and temporal endeavours. The Vatican's cartographic collection stands as a monument to intellectual ambition, bridging continents, centuries, and disciplines, offering modern observers a direct link to the expansive worldview cultivated within these historic walls. The Vatican Apostolic Archives not only preserve written knowledge, but also document humanity's earliest attempts to measure, observe, and understand the natural world. Within its walls lie records connected to scientific instruments, astrolabes, sextants, early telescopes, and the observations recorded with them, revealing the Church's role in fostering inquiry alongside spiritual stewardship. These instruments, often accompanied by detailed notes and logs, capture centuries of empirical observation, ranging from celestial tracking to terrestrial measurements, and reflect the meticulous care taken to record, analyze, and interpret natural phenomena. The combination of instruments and manuscripts provides a rare insight into the methodology of early scientists, illustrating the intersection of theory, experimentation, and documentation. Marginalia and annotations reveal the deliberations of scholars, corrections to observations, and refinements in methodology, highlighting the intellectual rigor demanded by scientific inquiry. Some documents detail astronomical observations used to determine liturgical calendars, while others relate to broader inquiries into physics, mathematics, and natural philosophy. Archivists handle these fragile records and instruments with extreme care, aware that both are irreplaceable testimonies of human curiosity and innovation. By studying these artifacts, historians gain insight into the Church's support for scientific exploration, often under the guidance of clerical scholars who balanced empirical investigation with theological considerations. The archives illuminate how knowledge was collected systematically, shared across Europe, and preserved for future generations, ensuring continuity even amid social and political upheaval. These documents reveal the Church's nuanced position, promoting observation and learning while maintaining doctrinal oversight, a balance that shaped the trajectory of early modern science. Each instrument, note, and measurement embodies a dialogue between humanity and the universe, recorded meticulously to ensure its lessons would survive. Through these records, one perceives the patience, precision, and creativity of those who sought to understand the cosmos, blending curiosity, faith, and methodical documentation. The Vatican's preservation of scientific instruments and observations underscores the enduring commitment to knowledge, illustrating that the pursuit of understanding was intertwined with devotion, discipline, and careful stewardship. Walking among these shelves, one encounters the tangible tools of discovery and the written records that immortalize their use, offering a vivid testimony to the centuries-long dialogue between observation, interpretation, and the preservation of insight. These documents and instruments collectively reveal the Church's crucial role in safeguarding humanity's intellectual heritage, ensuring that curiosity, measurement, and understanding remain accessible, bridging centuries of inquiry from the earliest scholars to modern scientific exploration. Among the Vatican Apostolic Archives exists a shadowed and intriguing collection, the records of censored and forbidden texts. books deemed dangerous, heretical, or controversial by ecclesiastical authority. This trove, including copies of the Index Librorum Prohibitorum, letters of warning, annotations, and reports on forbidden writings, reveals the Church's methodical approach to controlling the flow of knowledge, preserving both doctrinal purity and social order. These documents chronicle the identification of controversial works, the reasoning behind their suppression, and the processes used to monitor or restrict access. Marginalia, handwritten notes, and instructions to clergy highlight the deliberate and nuanced thinking applied to censorship, balancing intellectual curiosity with moral responsibility. Archivists treat these volumes with exceptional care, understanding that the books themselves, as well as the records surrounding them, are historical artifacts of both power and control. Many of the forbidden texts contain philosophical, scientific, or literary works that challenged orthodox thought, while others included political treatises, mystical writings, or critiques of church authority. By examining these manuscripts, scholars gain insight into the tension between knowledge and authority, innovation and tradition, curiosity and control. The records also reveal the practical measures taken to enforce restrictions, directives to monasteries, alerts sent to libraries, and correspondence with bishops and inquisitors. Overlay analysis shows the geographical spread of censorship and the intricate network used to track prohibited works. Some texts were copied secretly, passed among trusted scholars, or hidden in private collections, illustrating the persistent human drive to preserve knowledge despite restrictions. These documents reveal the paradox of the archives. The Church simultaneously restricted certain knowledge while meticulously preserving records of those very restrictions, creating an enduring historical record. Through these preserved texts and annotations, modern historians can trace the evolution of ideas that once challenged authority and understand how the Church navigated intellectual tension, moral responsibility, and social influence. Each suppressed manuscript, every handwritten note, carries the weight of centuries of debate, revealing the strategies employed to balance intellectual freedom with doctrinal oversight. The archive's censorship records are a testament to the complexity of knowledge management, offering a rare glimpse into the moral, political, and intellectual deliberations that shaped what was allowed, what was forbidden, and what survived. Standing before these shelves, one realizes that history is not only written in open texts, but also in those carefully hidden, monitored, or forbidden, and the Vatican's preservation of such works ensures that the story of human thought, in all its risk, defiance, and curiosity, endures. These documents illuminate the paradoxical nature of preservation. To censor is also to record. To suppress is also to immortalize, leaving a legacy of knowledge that speaks both to authority and to humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding. The Vatican Apostolic Archives also hold detailed records of papal elections and conclaves, documents that illuminate one of the most secretive and consequential processes in religious history. These meticulously preserved manuscripts contain voting records, correspondence between cardinals, procedural instructions, and annotations that reveal the careful orchestration of an event that determines the spiritual leadership of millions. Marginalia reveal the strategies, alliances, and deliberations among electors, capturing human ambition, political maneuvering, and spiritual discernment all entwined in a sacred process. Archivists handle these delicate records with extreme care, recognizing that each page documents a critical intersection of faith, politics, and tradition. Beyond ballots and procedural notes, the archives preserve letters, memos, and directives sent to cardinals during periods of transition, offering insight into the Church's internal governance and the mechanisms used to preserve unity, secrecy, and legitimacy. Reenactments show cardinals casting votes under strict protocols, reflecting centuries of carefully codified rules designed to ensure fairness, confidentiality, and adherence to canon law. Historical records detail disputes, negotiations, and compromises that shaped outcomes, underscoring the human element at the heart of these sacred decisions. Overlay animations of conclave seating arrangements, voting rounds, and tally procedures reveal the meticulous structure developed to safeguard both spiritual and institutional integrity. Scholars studying these archives can trace patterns in elections, uncover recurring influences, and understand how external political pressures and internal doctrinal concerns intersected with the voting process. The records also highlight moments of crisis, such as prolonged vacancies or contested elections, showing how the Church maintained continuity and authority amidst uncertainty. Each document preserves the intersection of faith, governance, and human decision-making, providing an intimate glimpse into the Church's methods for selecting its highest spiritual leader. Beyond politics and procedure, these records capture the spiritual gravity of the moment, the sense of duty, reflection, and responsibility carried by each elector, as well as the painstaking care taken to preserve secrecy and integrity. The archives demonstrate that while the conclave is shrouded in tradition and ritual, it is also a deeply human process shaped by deliberation, strategy, and conscience. Walking among these shelves, one feels the weight of centuries of decisions, each election shaping the trajectory of the Church and influencing global religious, cultural, and political history. By preserving these documents, the Vatican ensures that scholars and historians can access an unbroken chain of procedural knowledge, insight into human decision-making, and understanding of the interplay between divine guidance and human agency. The conclave records are a living testament to the Church's commitment to continuity, transparency, and the meticulous preservation of its most sacred and consequential decisions, offering a window into a centuries-old tradition that balances secrecy, spirituality, and governance with unparalleled precision. The Vatican Apostolic Archives house a remarkable collection of codices detailing early scientific and medical knowledge, revealing the Church's involvement in preserving and disseminating human understanding of the body, disease, and natural phenomena. These manuscripts, carefully handwritten and illustrated, contain insights into anatomy, herbal medicine, surgical procedures, and the theories that shaped medical practice for centuries. Each page reflects meticulous observation, intellectual curiosity, and a commitment to preserving knowledge across generations. Marginal notes, corrections, and diagrams illustrate the process of learning, experimentation, and refinement, demonstrating that these texts were not merely copied, but actively studied, updated, and expanded. Archivists handle these codices with extraordinary care, aware that each represents centuries of intellectual labor, fragile parchment, and the careful application of ink and pigment. Researchers can trace the evolution of medical understanding, from humoral theory and herbal remedies to early anatomical studies, revealing both the limitations and ingenuity of historical science. These codices also document the Church's role in supporting medical scholarship, often providing the infrastructure, resources, and preservation necessary for continuity of knowledge in times when scientific study was precarious. Some texts contain commentary on disease outbreaks, surgical techniques, and pharmacological discoveries, providing a window into both everyday practice and extraordinary medical challenges of the period. Overlay diagrams highlight connections between treatments, medicinal plants, and recorded outcomes, demonstrating the methodical approach of early scholars. Beyond practical application, these manuscripts reflect a broader intellectual culture that sought to reconcile observation with theology, understanding nature while honoring divine creation. By preserving these works, the Vatican ensured that successive generations of scholars could build upon existing knowledge, bridging gaps between eras, cultures, and disciplines. Each codex embodies a dialogue between observation, theory, and application, demonstrating the persistence of human inquiry even in periods of limited technology or understanding. Walking among these shelves, one perceives the convergence of faith, scholarship, and scientific curiosity, realizing that the archives are not only repositories of religious authority, but also custodians of the foundations of human knowledge. The codices highlight how preservation of medical and scientific texts was as crucial to the Church's mission as the safeguarding of spiritual or political records, ensuring that empirical understanding was transmitted, protected, and interpreted responsibly. The archives stand as a testament to centuries of careful documentation, intellectual rigor, and the enduring pursuit of truth, capturing the balance between faith, observation, and the desire to comprehend the natural world. Within these pages, one sees the seeds of modern science and medicine, immortalized through meticulous recording, careful preservation, and unwavering dedication to the advancement of human understanding. Among the Vatican Apostolic Archive's most evocative collections are the records of relics and sacred artifacts, objects imbued with centuries of faith, devotion, and veneration. These documents meticulously catalogue bones of saints, fragments of holy sites, liturgical vessels, and other sacred items, detailing their origins, movement, and role within the Church's spiritual and cultural life. Each record preserves not only the artifact itself, but also the human devotion, ritual practice, and historical context surrounding it. Marginalia and annotations offer insight into the verification, authentication, and preservation of relics, reflecting the Church's responsibility to ensure their integrity while safeguarding the devotion of countless believers. Archivists handle these records with painstaking care, aware that they document objects of profound religious, cultural, and historical significance. Scholars studying these archives gain an unparalleled understanding of how relics were venerated, transferred between institutions, and woven into the spiritual and political life of Europe and beyond. Some documents include correspondence regarding the acquisition, authentication, or relocation of relics, revealing the delicate balance between reverence, diplomacy, and record-keeping. Overlay animations trace the paths of relics from their origins to prominent shrines and cathedrals, illustrating networks of faith that spanned continents, often intertwined with pilgrimage routes, political alliances, and cultural exchange. The manuscripts provide insight into the rituals and ceremonies associated with relics, from processions and public veneration to private devotion and monastic observances. Beyond spiritual significance, these records illuminate social and political contexts, showing how relics could bolster ecclesiastical authority, strengthen community identity, and influence diplomacy. By preserving meticulous documentation of sacred artifacts, the Vatican ensured continuity of tradition and facilitated ongoing study, interpretation, and veneration across generations. Each ledger, annotation, and certificate of authenticity represents a profound intersection of faith, history, and human experience, capturing the reverence, scrutiny, and stewardship surrounding these objects. Walking among these archives, one can sense the layers of devotion, history, and meticulous scholarship that give relics their enduring significance, reflecting humanity's enduring search for connection with the divine. The archive's preservation of relic records demonstrates that faith and scholarship are not opposed but intertwined, ensuring that the story of sacred objects, their custodians, and their impact on human culture is recorded with precision and care. Within these pages, one finds both tangible and intangible legacies, the objects themselves and the centuries of devotion, documentation, and careful preservation that immortalize their presence in human history. The Vatican's careful recording of relics underscores the profound responsibility of preserving not just material artifacts, but the spiritual and cultural memory they embody, bridging past and present with reverence, rigor, and insight. Among the Vatican Apostolic Archives lies a hidden dimension of intelligence and secrecy, encoded messages, ciphers, and cryptic correspondence that document centuries of clandestine communication. These manuscripts reveal a sophisticated understanding of cryptography, used to protect sensitive information, maintain confidentiality, and safeguard strategic or doctrinal decisions. Many encoded letters were exchanged between the papacy, diplomats, monarchs, and agents in distant lands, preserving delicate political, religious, and diplomatic negotiations that could not risk exposure. Archivists handle these fragile documents with extreme care, recognizing that they contain not only historical content, but evidence of human ingenuity in concealing and transmitting knowledge. Marginalia, annotations, and cipher keys illustrate the evolution of encryption methods, from simple substitution techniques to more complex polyalphabetic systems, reflecting both creativity and necessity. Scholars analyzing these archives can reconstruct the flow of secret communications, revealing networks of influence, covert diplomacy, and intelligence gathering that underpin the Church's operations across centuries. Some ciphers concealed instructions for the management of estates, strategic alliances, or even intelligence on rival powers, highlighting the intersection of faith, politics, and security. Overlay animations trace communication routes, showing how encoded messages travelled across Europe and beyond, often delivered by trusted couriers who understood the importance of secrecy. The manuscripts reveal both successes and failures, intercepted letters, cracked codes, and adjustments made to maintain confidentiality over time. Beyond political and strategic applications, some documents contain philosophical, theological, or scientific information protected from unauthorized readers, illustrating the Church's broader commitment to safeguarding sensitive knowledge. The archives demonstrate that cryptography was not merely technical, but entwined with human decision-making, strategy, and morality, where the stakes of exposure could influence empires, doctrine, and even lives. Each encoded message represents the delicate balance between communication and concealment, authority and discretion, intellect and trust. Walking among these shelves, one perceives centuries of careful calculation, ingenious secrecy, and the constant tension between transparency and protection of vital knowledge. The Vatican's preservation of coded documents ensures that historians, cryptographers, and scholars can trace the evolution of secrecy, intelligence, and communication, revealing the depth of human creativity applied to safeguarding information. These ciphers are more than puzzles. They are windows into the Church's methods of influence, negotiation, and protection, reflecting centuries of foresight, vigilance, and disciplined documentation. Through these encoded records, one glimpses the unseen networks, hidden strategies, and intellectual mastery that allowed the Vatican to navigate complex political, religious, and cultural landscapes with precision, discretion, and enduring impact. As we arrive at the final corridors of the Vatican Apostolic Archives, one is struck by both the weight of history and the promise of the future. These walls are not simply storage spaces. They are living libraries of human endeavour, containing centuries of religion, diplomacy, science, art, and thought. The archives are a testament to meticulous stewardship, safeguarding knowledge that could have been lost to fire, war, or neglect. Here, every manuscript, map, codex, and relic tells a story, not just of the Church, but of humanity itself, spanning continents, cultures, and eras. Archivists continue the centuries-old mission of preservation, using modern technology to digitize fragile documents, cross-reference information, and ensure access while maintaining security and confidentiality. Digital preservation, high-resolution imaging, and metadata cataloging now coexist with the careful handling of parchment, ink, and fragile bindings, bridging the ancient and the modern. The archives are a nexus where history, scholarship, and technology converge, allowing researchers to trace patterns, connect seemingly disparate events, and reconstruct the narratives that shaped civilizations. By preserving documents related to diplomacy, heresy trials, scientific observation, cartography, relics, and cryptography, the Vatican ensures that knowledge remains a continuous thread connecting the past with the present and future. The archive's influence extends beyond theology. They inform our understanding of politics, science, medicine, art, and human behavior, providing unparalleled insight into the forces that have molded societies. Walking through these corridors, one cannot help but reflect on the dedication of countless scribes, archivists, scholars, and clerics whose labor ensured that humanity's memory survived. Each preserved document represents a commitment to truth, reflection, and continuity, illustrating the profound responsibility of safeguarding information for generations yet to come. Looking forward, the archives will continue to evolve, integrating cutting-edge technology to make knowledge more accessible, while retaining the tactile reverence of centuries-old manuscripts. They will remain a place where historians, scientists, theologians, and curious minds converge to discover, interpret, and connect the threads of human experience. In this intersection of preservation and progress, the Vatican Apostolic Archives stand as both a monument to the past and a beacon for the future, a repository of memory, insight, and inspiration that transcends time. They remind us that history is not merely recorded events, but the cumulative reflection of human curiosity, faith, intellect, and perseverance. The archives encapsulate the enduring power of preservation. Every document safeguarded today ensures that the knowledge, wisdom, and struggles of the past continue to illuminate the path ahead. As custodians of these treasures, the Vatican continues to uphold a mission that transcends religious, political, and cultural boundaries, offering humanity a window into the past and a foundation upon which to build the future. In the silence of these halls, amidst shelves that stretch beyond sight, lies the essence of human legacy, preserved, protected, and perpetually ready to inspire discovery, understanding, and reflection for generations to come. The Vatican Apostolic Archives remain one of the most extraordinary repositories of human history, holding secrets, knowledge, and wisdom that span millennia. From the clandestine correspondence and encoded messages to sacred relics and scientific codices, these archives tell a story of humanity's relentless pursuit of understanding, preservation, and faith. By exploring these corridors, we glimpse the intricate web of religion, politics, science, and culture, revealing the Church's enduring influence on the course of history. Each preserved document, map, and artifact is a testament to human ingenuity, curiosity, and dedication. If you found this journey into the Vatican's hidden world fascinating, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into history's most intriguing mysteries. Every week, we uncover stories that have shaped civilizations, hidden in plain sight or sealed away for centuries. Dive deeper with us and explore the legacies, secrets, and revelations that history has kept waiting.